Hey everyone, Alexander with JawfoxPhotography.com. Today I'm making a small segment showcasing my post-production workflow or my process and how I edit a photo shoot from start to finish. I believe post-production is one of the most important aspects to a production, being the fact that you can really bring your photo shoot to life, your production to life, through your editing techniques. So I spend a lot of time not only refining my techniques and my workflow, but also in the actual editing process. So with that being said, I did a photo shoot yesterday with my wife. This is the current photo I'm working on now, and I'm going to spend 2 or 3 minutes just showing quickly how I'm going to edit this photo. Now keep in mind there's different types of edits, and for this photo shoot it was very emotional in nature because my wife's recovering from surgery. You can see the scars on her abdomen. It was very emotional, so it was all about raw beauty, strength, and recovery. So that's the emotion that I want to tap into for that photo shoot. Every photo shoot I try to find the emotion to tap into. So I don't want to necessarily go in and do a beauty edit on this photo because that's not what the emotion is. So the emotion here is showcasing raw beauty and recovery, and that's how I want to edit. So with that in mind, I'm not going to do separation frequencies and skin smoothing and all that. I might just touch up a little bit of areas, but for the most part, I'm going to leave it as raw as possible or as natural as possible. So the first thing I look at in Camera Raw, which is the application within Photoshop if you're not familiar, and this is where you can edit a lot of your technical data if you didn't get it right in camera, but I try to make it right in camera as much as possible, especially my highlights. If I can protect my highlights, I'm already on a good start because highlights are really hard to recover and edit. So I just start off by asking myself, as simple as it sounds, what does a photo need? And I look at my histogram, I see it's a little on the dark side, which is what I like to do because I'm a low-key photographer. I shoot at night, I shoot in dark studio spaces, so I like my histogram to be pointed towards the shadows as opposed to having a perfect exposure. So I like shooting on the dark side. I want this picture a little darker, a little moodier. So I'm gonna move a little fast, but just try to keep up if you're interested. And again, this is all just a technique that I use. There's many other techniques out there. This is just aimed at helping anybody that has questions or just getting started in Photoshop or just interested to see how I do things. So I'm not going to touch the exposure right now. I am going to reduce the highlights slightly. There's a little bit of overexposed parts on her arm. I'm going to reduce the shadows a little bit, making it more moody, leave the whites alone, and make the blacks a little darker. I'm going to enhance the contrast slightly as well. I might add a little bit of purple in the tint, and I might brighten the temperature slightly at 42K. That's looking good. I'll leave the texture and clarity alone for now. You don't want to touch those until you're ready for that. Those are things that can really break or make your image. I'll dehaze slightly, just again making the image a little darker, and I'll reduce the vibrance. And the vibrance is essentially your color intensity. So now that I've done that, what I typically do is apply my color grading effect, or the base of the color grading, something that's going to get me started in how the color palette of the photo is going to look. So for that, I go over to this film tab right here, and one of my favorite techniques is the teal and orange effect. I basically grab my red hue and I'll move it all the way to 100, and my blue hue and move it all the way down to -100. And you can see the dramatic effect it's had on my oranges. Now I also like to split tone, and what I'll do is add a little bit of dark blues around 216, and I'll add dark blues to the shadows slightly. And you can see what that's looking like already. Now it's looking a little much, and of course some parts of her are too dark now. I'm going to fix that in a minute. I was using my USR with a Canon RF 50 1.2. I was shooting at 1.2. I was at 1/125, ISO 100. So there's not going to be much grain in my photo, but just because I like to do it, I'll add a little smoothing feature, the luminance, the noise reduction, and then the noise reduction tab. It really helps just kind of blend your photo together a little more. At least I found that anyway. So that's looking good. I'll go ahead and open the image. And right off the bat, I'm going to fix the exposure issue. I'll duplicate the layer and bring up curves, and I'll kick my curves up just slightly. And I don't want to apply that effect to the whole photo, so I'll invert that mask and paint in the effect where I think it's too dark. So grab my brush tool, and with the opposite color, just paint in her face a little bit, parts of her hair, chest, and I think that's looking good. Let's bring it up a little slightly. Good. I'll reduce that slightly. Yeah, I think that's looking good. And then from there, I just keep going and asking myself, what does the photo need? I think what I can do is add, go to adjustments and selector color. And from there, I'm going to play with each color channel. I'm in the reds right now, so I'm specifically editing the cyan colors in the red, the magenta colors in the reds, and so yeah, that's looking good. You can see before and after here. I think that's looking good. Let's go to the yellow channel, and yeah, I think that's looking really good. Okay, and I'm liking the image already. Now, normally what I do in a beauty portrait, or really any portrait where I'm not focusing on the raw beauty of things, I'll go ahead and do skin retouching and skin smoothing. But like I said, I'm trying to keep this portrait as natural as possible. However, there are a couple areas that just draw my eye that I'll go ahead and get rid of. So I'll just use the spot healing brush, sample an area, and just clean up a few little areas. Yeah, and I'll go through. Now, I don't know where this bruise is from, and I know I'm focusing on raw beauty right now, but it's a little distracting and doesn't have any relevance to our story or our emotions, so I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that. She said she ran into a table or something. I have no idea. Alright, I'm liking it. The last thing I'm going to do is a quick little blur in Camera Raw, just to help blend everything together, make it look a little dreamier. So I will reduce the clarity slightly. And then I will sharpen the eyes. I have a sharpen tool here. These are all my actions that I've either made or purchased or someone given to me. And what I'll do is just sharpen the eyes slightly. That's good. Yeah, you can see how sharp that makes things. And I'll do the opposite with the defocus tool. Just areas that are need a little blending, like right here. There's some variations in skin tone. I'll just add a little blur effect to help blend that together. You can see that's looking good. Just like that. All right, and that's it, guys. I think that's looking really good. I really like how this photo is speaking to me. It's showcasing strength in her pose and her eye contact with the camera, but also showcasing the wounds that she's endured and her embracing her body with the implied nature of her wardrobe. I really like this picture. It's one I'll probably end up printing one day or something. But again, it's all about finding that emotion and then paying attention to your particular workflow and your process and how you edit things. Continue to learn and grow, because there's a lot of cool resources out there and it's just a good way to refine your process by understanding the techniques out there. So with that said, I'm going to cut it, and I hope you guys are doing all right, staying safe, and I'll catch you in the next video. Take care.